Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started shortly. But my name is Melissa Kuna. I am a health educator at the Student Health Center, and I will be helping facilitate and just kind of doing background work while our lovely presenters will be educating you guys today. Just some key things I definitely wanted to address before we begin. So today's health and wellness workshop will be recorded and available on the CAPS website within a couple of weeks. So you can always, if you're only able to participate in a little bit of it or you have to leave early, it will be there for future viewing. And then because this is a webinar style presentation, we do ask that if you have any questions to please use the Q&A function rather than the chat box. All of the questions will be answered at the end of our presentation. If you are here for extra credit or have been referred from a professor, there will be an attendance QR code that you can scan and sign into a little bit later on, further on into the presentation. And then, of course, at the end of the webinar, we do value your feedback and any input that you have regarding this presentation. So if you can take the time to enter our survey or finish our survey, then you'll be entered into an equal opportunity drawing. But let me go ahead and introduce our lovely presenters today. So thank you again for attending this workshop. We have our community partners from El Sol, Eddlynn and Patricia, and they are both community health workers there. And they will be taking over the presentation from here on out. So let's give them a warm welcome.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Listos California programs, Reducing Stress and Anxiety During a Disaster with 5 Simple Steps. My name is Eddlynn Jennifer Mangaoang. I go by Jennifer. And my partner is Patricia Gonzalez. We are a community health workers from El Sol Neighborhood Educational Center. So we are here today because we're learning that being prepared could help us stay calm and collected during these emergencies, giving us the resilience we need in order to help others and support others during these stressful events. Our objectives for today is that we will introduce Listos California program and what we do. We will also learn different types of emergency or disaster, most common in California. We'll identify stressors and causes of anxiety during a disaster or emergency. And then lastly, we will identify the 5 simple steps of emergency preparedness. This was California program. It started in 2019, right before the pandemic. It is started by the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. The goal of this program, this campaign, is to make sure that all Californians have the education, awareness, and resources to be able to better prepare for any emergencies or disasters. Listos means ready in Spanish. Now let us watch a short video that start us off what about this is California is all about.
The world is changing in ways we never expected. Communities that are the most affected happen to be the most neglected, but I encourage you to put your differences aside and ask yourself, how do we protect it? How do we protect the California for all, which includes neighborhoods that are composed of languages from all around the globe? Intergenerational homes with cultures too rich to let go, and different abled friends who happen to be the strongest people that we know. To protect, we must prepare. Neighbor to neighbor resources that are meant to be shared. Asking ourselves, how do we show up and take care of historically vulnerable communities who have slipped through the cracks when the earth starts to shake? Parents who carry children on their back when floods turn living rooms into lakes, and fires that ride the wind leaving our loved ones displaced. No more never forgotten and always remembered. No more asking ourselves what we could have done better. No more standing by and just letting things be. Because at least those California begins with you and me.
And there we go.
The world is changing in ways we never expected.
Okay, so now we're going to look through the common types of emergency or disaster here in California. There's going to be a lot, but we're focusing on 4 things. The first one is wildfire. then storm or flood, which is currently happening right now, earthquakes, and then power shutoffs. So we have more than 100 small earthquakes per day. Humans can't feel these small earthquakes. Right now, I can't feel it. But seismographs, which measure earthquakes, can pick up these small movements in the earth. We have more than 1,000 faults in the state, and more than 500 of them are active faults. So what are faults? Faults are cracks in the earth that moves relatively to each other. And when they move rapidly, that causes earthquakes. And there is 99% chance of one or more 6.7 magnitude or greater earthquakes striking California. In the inland Southern California, San Bernardino area, Riverside area, 75%, there's a 75% likelihood of one or more 7.0 or greater earthquakes striking. Two most notable faults that we have is San Andreas Fault and San Jacinto Fault. San Andreas Fault is the fault that causes the big earthquake, 8.0 and more. And it is the one that is so long, it starts from right above the San Francisco area, all the way down to Salton Lake, Salton City, right in the Imperial Riverside counties. San Jacinto Fault, though, they're the ones that create the small but frequent earthquakes. So sometimes if you're in your bed and you feel a little shake, that's the San Jacinto Fault happening. CSUSB's backyard is the San Andreas Fault. It's basically in the San Bernardino Mountains. It goes along that side. And something we need to know is that we live here in inland Southern California. We live less than 10 miles from the active fault. We have two worthy earthquakes to talk about, which happened in June 1992. These are the Landers earthquake and the Big Bear earthquake. So Landers earthquake is a 7.3 magnitude earthquake. It was felt through the LA area and 3 other states, namely Nevada, Arizona, and Idaho. So it's such a massive earthquake. It ruptured 5 different faults. Big Bear earthquake, on the other hand, is a 6.5 magnitude earthquake, and it ruptured 44-mile long fault and caused landslides. These landslides block and damage roads in the San Bernardino Mountains. A fun fact is that the Big Bear earthquake was an aftershock of Landers. So that's it. Yeah. In the most recent one that is huge here in California is the one in Ferndale in Humboldt County on December 20, 2022. It was a 6.4 magnitude earthquake. It caused damaged roads. It resulted in damaged roads, homes, and utilities. And sadly, 2 people died and 12 were injured. Globally, the most devastating one currently globally is the one from Turkey and Syria, the Turkey-Syria earthquake that happened in February. And those earthquakes resulted in more than 56,000 deaths. So earthquakes can really do a lot of damage, not only in properties, but also in people's lives. Now we're gonna move on to storms and floods. Currently, right now, we're having heavy storms, but the most notable ones right now that started everything is the 23 days of rain from December 26 to January 17. It was caused by 9 atmospheric rivers and resulted in 32 trillion gallons of rainwater. Sadly, these results also cost us 21 lives and 1 child reported missing. So the story of the child reported missing is that the mother and the child, the boy, were in the mother's car, heavy rain, floods coming in. The mother got rescued, but the child was swept away. So right now, I believe the child hasn't been found. But we got out of the severe droughts, sadly, though. That passes things. So here are more pictures of what happened during those days of floods and rains. So we have submerged vehicles and homes, damaged properties and businesses that cost us economically. We have down power lines. There are places that didn't have any power at all for several weeks. We have sinkholes and road cave-ins. I'm not sure if you guys know about this picture over here on the upper right, but the story of that one was that a mother and a daughter was trapped in the sinkhole, and then another car fell on top of them. The males, the boys on the other car got out, but because the mother and daughter was stuck, they need to be rescued. They were rescued, but this road here was now blocked. The authorities blocked it because it continued to cave in. We also have landslides, rock slides, and mudslides. These 3 things happen mostly at risk areas where there was wildfires in the past couple of years. As we know, wildfires kill a lot of plants, and the roots of those plants might not be working. And if there are no roots clinging onto the soils when heavy rains pour down from the above, all those soil, mud, rocks are gonna come down, and it causes such huge damages. Speaking of wildfire, between 2020 to 2022, we have 18 wildfires here in San Bernardino County, and it damaged 27,000 acres of land. 27,000, so 1,000 acre is equal to a football field with no end zones. So imagine 27,000 football fields getting burned. That's a huge amount of land. And if you still can't imagine it, think about Fontana, California. Fontana, California is 27,000 acres. So basically, you're just burning whole Fontana. Here in the CSUSB area, we have the University Fire between the I-215 and the University Parkway that happened on September 22, 2021, around 11:30 a.m. It was a fast-moving brush fire and covered 71 acres of land. Evacuations were ordered because, as you can see, those are the houses right on there. And there are also nursing homes near the area. So evacuations were ordered. Notable fires. We have the Grand Prix Padua fires and Old Fire on 2003. So the Grand Prix Padua Fire, they started on October 21st at the San Gabriel Mountain foothills above Fontana. It burned 70,000 acres and destroyed 194 residences. Thankfully, no lives were lost. On the other hand, for Old Fire, it started on October 25 at the Waterman Canyon in the San Bernardino Mountains. This fire was man-made, so someone started the fire, and it burned 91,000 acres of land. 70,000 were evacuated. It destroyed 940 residences, 30 commercial buildings, and 300 outbuildings. Sadly, we lost 6 lives during the Old Fire. They needed more than 4,000 firefighters to battle the flame. A sad fact, I will say usually fun fact, but this is a sad fact. It crossed the I-15 freeway and met the Grand Prix fire as well. These fires burned for more than a week. Now we're gonna look through power shutoffs or power outages. We have 2 reasons for power shutoff and power outages. Number 1 is that it's going to be a precautionary measure. And number 2 is that it's a result of something else. So we talked about the weathers earlier, like the earthquake, the storms, all those things. Weather can result in a power outage, sometimes temporarily, sometimes it just take a couple of weeks. For trees, if we have high winds or trees just uprooting, it will touch those power lines and cause temporary power outages. For vehicles, when you are in an accident, hopefully not, but if you have an accident and you hit the utility pole, that will also cause temporary power outage. Earthquakes can cause power outages. It shakes the ground, it shakes the trees, it shakes everything. When things are falling down on those power lines, it will cause power outages. Animals are going to chew on those power lines, small animals like squirrels. When they chew on a power line, that causes power outage. Lightning can also cause power outage directly when the lightning strike a power outage, a power box or a utility pole. It causes a power outage. Excavation diggings. You might ask, why excavation diggings? Now, California and some part of the world, they're putting their power lines below the ground, underground, because of the reasons I mentioned earlier, like animals, trees, vehicles, and things like that. They're now putting it underground. But if we have excavation diggings, that will also disturb those power lines, like how earthquake does. And then lastly, high power usage or demand. So summer, so hot, more than 100 Fahrenheit, more than 100 degree Fahrenheit. Everyone in the household or every household, there's always a family member who opens the AC. When an area is at risk of wildfire, the power companies will shut off the area's power. This is called public safety power shutoff. So these are the precautionary measures that I'm talking about. The other ones, they're result of something else, but this one, it's actually the power companies that shut them off. And this is to prevent wildfire. but it also inconveniences the people that are affected. So that's the end for that. And I'll have my partner, Patricia, go over the next couple of slides.
Patricia, you're muted.
I'm here. Welcome, everyone. Thank you again for having me. I'm Patricia. And so right now is actually an incredible time for all of us because we're actually are in a state of emergency. And of course, we don't prepare for things to be as catastrophic or unpredictable as they have been, at least in certain parts here, actually in San Bernardino County. And so I'm pretty sure that a lot of that has caused stressors. As you can see, the main question here is what stressors are present during an emergency or a disaster event? Do we have a series of things? And one thing that we have to understand too is that there's a low trust because of lack of information and lack of proper communication. We'll have delays and time constraints, especially during evacuations, which did take place during this last blizzard that we had in our mountains. Also, understanding that there are usual routes that will be blocked for traffic. And I'm sure some of you guys can see on a day-to-day, especially when it rains, there's always congestion. There's just a lot of traffic as it is in San Bernardino County or on all of our freeways. So one of the things we have to understand that even though we might be affected by the weather, the state of emergency, the traffic, basic needs might be limited. Things like food and water and shelter. And also being able to understand that there is sometimes a low or lack of resources, especially when we can't travel or get to the stores and people have cleared them out, or if there's damaged properties and people have to go into a shelter. When we go into a shelter, there's limited resources there as well. And so it is my hope that we can learn how to be prepared, but also learn to be mentally prepared. And that's what this part is here. So also keeping in mind that financial issues might come up. There's no electricity, there's no way we'll be able to use our ATMs or go into the store. So that's one thing we want to keep in mind. Also, keeping in mind that there might be family displacement, family separations. You or your family might have to relocate temporarily or even permanently. You might even have to face the fact of losing a loved one, and also maybe even having to visually see things that we don't expect, maybe sometimes only in movies. But these things are real deal and they do happen. So we want to mentally prepare that we might hear things, see things, smell things, feel things that we have never felt in our life. And also we're going to have a general disruption of social networks. And most of all, when you feel a lack of safety and security, that is going to increase the stress levels. So when we have that increased effect upon our bodies and our mental health, we're going to have to understand that we're going to have to care for ourselves before, during, and after the event. So that's kind of a brief of what we have here listed on this slide. And next is going to be the common mental health problems that might occur. So it says, what are the common emergency-induced mental health problems? Well, during these events, or even after, the common emergency-induced mental health problems, according to the World Health Organization, are grief, acute stress reactions, harmful use of alcohol and drugs, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic disorder. And a lot of the times we want to keep in mind that there will be confusion because we can predict that things will be unpredictable. And sometimes we just don't know that it's that bad until it's that bad. So when we lock these things in our mind now, that these are only a few of the things that we're going to experience, it'll better prepare us when we're actually in that moment. Because not only are we going to be dealing with our own stress reactions, but the reactions of others, as well as even those of our first responders. So when we look at this, we want to understand that grief is a feeling of loss, deep sorrow, when your heart feels so empty because someone or something was taken from you. It feels like there's nothing else that could fill it. So just being able to identify and understand what grief is. Also, acute stress reactions, that might bring us to tapping into our fight, flight, and freeze. Also, for those of us who've experienced trauma, keep in mind that he or she is 4 times likely to become or resort to substance abuse or use. Also, it is noted that it could be 4 times likely to resort to alcohol and 4 times likely to inject drugs. Also, depression is when there's a persistent sadness and a loss of interest, while anxiety is when you experience intense, excessive, or persistent worries. So sometimes we go through those ruminating thoughts. They just think. Being able to learn how to thought stop is one of the things that we could implement. And let me tell you, that is not easy because I'm constantly having to thought stop. So also being able to understand that both of these things, when we experience the grief, the stress, the use of unhealthy or unmanageable coping strategies, devices, or vices, whatever it is, those things can have a negative effect on our behavior. And so when we are in a state of emergency externally, meaning in this world, keep in mind that you have an internal world in your body that is being affected by these stressors. So you have external, internal, there's a lot going on. So being able to take care of our health is key. Also, lastly, we want to look right here at post-traumatic stress disorder. It's when you're stressed, is in fight and flight response, and it stays switched on even when there's nothing to flee from or battle with. The prevalence of PTSD is higher in the population nearest to the event center or directly exposed to the event. And I can tell you, I live in the mountains and dealing with the fires last year, the aftermath of the fires, the evacuation, just going out looking at a world that was so beautiful and it looks like you're on the moon because everything's burnt does something to you. Having to deal with the blizzards and the snow and the travel, that stays with you. So being able to realize that you can change your narrative and you can replace those visuals. But it's going to take step by step, second by second, preparedness and being able just to know that you know that it will get better. So right here, we look at psychological preparedness. This is when we can actually be psychologically prepared before an emergency or disaster. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? Well, having psychological preparedness is the ability to manage and cope with one's emotional response. That means when you recognize how you're feeling in that moment, and sometimes we may not recognize what we're feeling, having trouble identifying can throw us off. So being able to know where you're at during a disaster, those feelings, those thoughts, those behaviors, those responses, all of that will help you to better manage your cognitive and behavioral response. But you gotta put that plan together ahead of time, which is now. That's why I said earlier, this is an incredible time because you're getting firsthand knowledge here in your own county, in your own area, and probably with people that you know. And as Jennifer mentioned earlier, there are some deaths do occur, not to say that lightly, but they do occur. And it's heavy. It could be heavy on our hearts. So again, the advantages include more confidence, control, and better preparedness. You're cooler, calmer, and more collected. So that's the ideal thing to do. And just know that if you're in an emergency or in it, that it may not actually allow you to come to be cool, calm, and collected. But just know that is going to be the goal. So this way, you can assist people think clearly, rationally, and reduce the risk of serious injury and loss of life during the disasters. Next slide. All right, so how do we gain psychological preparedness? So first, we want to take steps in getting proper rest, sleep, being able to take times and periods to lie around, just chill out. Also rest and try not to think about anything. I know a lot of the times people can go into meditation, yoga, a lot of those self-care tools and techniques and day-to-day hobbies and habits are going to be key. I'm queen of self-care. And so it's like that I just say whatever you can do to implement self-care, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Sometimes even when you're in a professional setting, you might be in a little crisis with someone you're dealing with. Again, you're going to have to realize your response to your response. And when you walk away from that situation, you might feel as if you are having your own crisis in your head. You got a self-care times 10. So again, getting proper rest, talking, counseling, eating nutritious food, getting exercise to expel that extra energy, all of those things will help us. Also, we want to be able to talk to people, find people you could trust, family, friends, individuals at school, a counselor, and being able to feel free to talk about the things that are mentally draining us, you know, because any kind of energy that is sapped out from us or pulled from us will, again, internally affect our body. So we've got to be able to realize how important it is to take care of our bodies, eat nutritious food, again, exercise, find relaxation, some fun, calming activities, even if it's taking a walk, deep breathing, doing some yoga, meditation, those kinds of things, even being able to go outside and just look at something green, a flower, something just to shift the mindset. And then if you have hobbies, hey, awesome, more power to you. I commend you, round of applause. Those are going to be the things that help us distract ourselves from these things that occur that we may not know how to deal with in that moment. So some examples of hobbies are reading, painting, knitting, and so on. And lastly, we want to be able to know that we can seek professional help. Coming here today, awesome. You've got resources here on campus. Sometimes you got to understand that words are words. You don't want to get the label. So professional help doesn't mean something's wrong. We all need some kind of mentorship and aid and being able to be the help, you know, to others. Sometimes we need others to help us. That's about teamwork. So this means being able to understand also that you want to reach out to people who will be able to help you with insurance, things in regards to your property, financial literacy, and so on. And then also keep in mind that our goal is to take away the stigma for mental health. So a lot of these things are going to affect our mental health. And so slide 18, we have some words of wisdom here. How can emergency preparedness reduce stress and anxiety? Right here it says, according to Dr. Thomas Kirsch, being prepared is huge because it minimizes the impact of a disaster for you and a loved one, and they can help you with planning. So it also says people who did not feel relatively safe for a long time, meaning they had more difficulty finding refuge and taking care of their basic needs, tended to have a higher risk of developing post-traumatic stress disorder versus those who were more prepared and able to respond quickly. So we're going to go into the 5 steps that are going to help us to not have to feel out of control. And again, sometimes you don't know it's that bad until it's that bad. So keep in mind, these things will help us bring us into being aligned with some guidelines and knowing what to do. Go ahead. Because even as prepared as I was for fires in the blizzard.
So let's take a little break right now, Patricia,
Okay.
because we're doing an attendance and extra credit. So if extra credit has been offered to you or by your professors for attending this workshop, please scan this QR code here or take a picture of this slide right now so that you can do your professors, you can do your attendance, your extra credit. We'll give you about a minute to do that.
It's also in the chat box too, if that's easier.
Is it all right if we move on now or do we need more time?
We can always show it again at the end of the presentation if you weren't able to grab it right now.
Okay. So we're moving on to the 5 essential steps. So this is going to be the last leg of our presentation. Go on, Patricia.
So as I mentioned, when I had to deal with certain emergencies, even as prepared as I was mentally, physically, there were still a lot of things that occurred. So just don't ever feel like you didn't prepare enough. So just know these 5 steps are going to be essential in preparing. So number 1, getting alerts. So you know what to do. So what does that mean? Getting alerts on your phone. And one of the resources that we have is, I'm sorry, I'm going to just go over these first and then we'll go over the steps, the resources. So number 1, getting alerts. Number 2, making the plan. Number 3, pack a go bag. Number 4, build a stay box for when you cannot leave. And number 5, help friends and neighbors get ready. So when I mentioned about getting alerts, how do we get those alerts? You can sign up for the alerts at calalerts.org. You can also download MyShake app. And those are 2 of many digital alerts that you could put on your phone. And so one of the things you want to remember is getting ready by knowing what are the risks in your own area and how you could get alerts to stay informed. So sticking with us here on this on campus, knowing that we're here to answer questions, getting to be familiar with your county fire, those kinds of things will help. It says when you, one of the things we want to keep in mind is that when emergencies hit, we can get information from numerous sources if there's electricity. We also want to keep in mind that we're all on cell phones at times and batteries do go low. How are we going to do that? I know when our fires came, there was no towers, there was no cell phones, there was no electricity. The only thing that worked were ham radios. So I encourage you to learn and get your ham licensing. So also being able to understand that we can get firsthand knowledge, I would say, from reports. Social media is always the first. Texting, when phones are out, you can't call 911. Phone lines will be clogged. You will only be able to text. Also being able to sign up for alerts. And it looks like at the top of the screen, if we go to the county website, there's going to be right here on our screen, you see that little circle. That's going to be able, that will allow you, to be able to sign up for alerts. And once you have registered, you will automatically receive all emergency alerts for your county, and they will be sent directly to your phone and or your email. So I encourage you to get these two alerts, again, calalerts.org, and then MyShake application. So next, we're going to make a plan. So the first thing we want to do is create a contact list. Who will we need to connect with? Include one person who lives outside of the region. So why? Because you want to have an out-of-state or out-of-area contact, just in case people are concerned or worried about you. So once you create an emergency contact list, it says that right here, I think we're going to be sharing this emergency contact list. Is that correct?
Yes, we will share the emergency contact plan that we created to the people that are in our emergency contacts, for them to know that we are that they're in our contact list, and that they'll also know that uh they can be like, we can be contacted as well for them.
Okay,
But
so
yes,
awesome. And that's what we're going to want to have is right here, this list, because the question you want to ask is, how many phone numbers have I memorized? Do we really know our people's phone numbers? So take a moment and think about who it is you would need to contact in an emergency. These can be families, neighbors, caregivers. All of those essential numbers we'll need to have. You're going to put them down on this piece of paper with their names, the carriers, the contact information, phone numbers, as well as addresses. You're going to want to include your home, your work, your school, important contacts. And I encourage you to share copies with everyone on your list, as well as putting a list in your go bag. You also should pick a relative or a friend living outside of the area, as I mentioned, because they're not going to be affected by the local disaster. You and your loved ones might be able to check in with that faraway relative or friend so that they know how you are doing and if you are safe. They can also troubleshoot for you. If they happen to know someone else in the area, they can make contact with them, and then you guys could be in connection if you do get to that point of not being able to communicate in our own surrounding communities. So communication is one of the main things, as well as shelter during these types of disasters. So number 2 right here, it says being able to make a plan. We want to practice our evacuation plan. We want to be able to identify safe places to meet, practice multiple ways to get there, and also remember, just because we know these 5 steps does not bring us to a point of doing search and rescue or going into buildings that are unsafe. The plan is for us to be able to follow, just in case we allow those feelings to get the best of us. We're in the moment, we don't know what to do, we can resort to these 5 steps. So right here, we want to be able to think about the plan with our family and how we would be able to evacuate, and know where are we going to go once we evacuate. Practice your drills. Say, hey, we're going to meet across the street at the park or this open area where there's a tree. This is the tree. Practice. Go there, even if it's on campus. Hey, where's our meeting spot if something were to happen? Know where it is you want to go with those individuals who are on happen when we're actually in an emergency if you're there. So this is going to include work, school, other areas. Also, we're going to be able to make sure that we remember where it is we're going to be going. We want to update our list, update phone numbers, keep everything updated so that when we're in that moment, when those moments strike, our evacuation and meetup plans are right here in the forefront of our minds. And then keep in mind, we're gonna have to plan for the unexpected. So number 3, packing a go bag. What other items should you grab or pack as you leave? Also consider your pets, young children, and elderly. Go bags are going to be unique and specific to each of us because we may all be doing and living and having things that are necessary for our own persons that might be different for someone else. So right here, this is the 3rd step, and it's packing the go bag. So inside of the go bag, there's going to be several things that we want to keep in mind. Most disasters are unexpected and they happen fast. We want to pack things for each member of our household. We want to take the time to think about what we will need in that pack. Also, if we have pets, we want to be able to figure out what it is we would need to grab if we only had 15 minutes. Believe me, you might only have 5 minutes. This is second by second stuff that could happen. When it is your life, trust me, you want to prepare now. Every second counts. So some of the things that you put into your go bag, you're going to have them ready. You're going to have them ready to rock and roll. Some of the things may be everyday items like your wallet, cell phone, plugs, things that you can't pack ahead of time. For those items, you want to make a list so you don't forget. I would encourage you just take that extra money when it's your birthday, when it's Christmas, or you ask, hey, what do you need? I need extra supplies for my go bag. Put them in there, have them ready. You will not be able to grab all these things at the last minute, trust me. So just have it ready to rock and roll and go. And so right here, building a stay box, what are the items you use every day that might run out if you are stuck at home for many days? So if we could shelter in place, and we have to shelter in place, rather than go to a shelter and have to stay there on a cot and in a building, you can have a stay box, which is going to have all of the things that you need in order to maneuver during the aftermath of a disaster, okay? And so with that being said, what do we want to have in that? Well, at least 3 weeks of food. You want to make sure you have water, plenty of water. If you've got water that's expired, still keep it. You could utilize that to bathe. And then trash bags. Keep in mind that whatever we take in has to come out. Any kind of elimination, we're going to have to use the restroom, the bathroom. If there's no facilities or running water, we're going to have a plan of action of where everyone will eliminate. Having those trash bags on hand are going to be key, okay? Because things will get dirty, they will get messy, and very, very disorganized, okay? So we want to prepare for at least 3 days without water, electricity. Save up a little at a time until you have enough for everyone in your household. And remember to pack any items that are necessary for your pet. Examples of things to pack now would be water, 3 gallons per person for drinking and washing. Also, store up 2 cases of water bottles. You want to have canned foods, make sure you have a can opener. Set aside foods that won't spoil, foods that you don't have to cook, and also trying or having to have a portable stove, kind of like you're going camping. If you could just prepare yourself, like you're gonna go camping with some propane, those little everything mini, that will get you through at least a couple of days. But keep in mind, you wanna sometimes prepare for weeks. And again, trash bags, having those with ties, a bucket, and you could use those as your temporary toilet. You also want to make sure you have flashlights and a radio, batteries, and then keep it where it's easy to find. There are likely other items you want to have on hand. And again, those are the things you want to explore with your family while building your safety kit. Next slide. So number 5, help with friends and neighbors. So lastly, this is the 5th step in helping friends and neighbors to get ready. In large emergency, firefighters and paramedics will not be able to come to your door. 911 would more likely not be answering phone calls. They will be rerouted. We must be ready to help ourselves and those around us who might be less able to help themselves during a disaster. So that's why we want to have this plan of action, so we have things in place to maneuver while the things are occurring around us. So we can start this by helping one another, sharing what we have learned here, being able to share the disaster ready guide. We have plenty of those that Jennifer can provide you with. We also want to be able to share with our friends and families, and then ask them to implement the steps, teach them. It's a fun thing to do with kids as well as family events. Also, you want to make it a point to check in with one another. In particular, think about your neighbors and friends who might have special needs. There are a lot of
Patricia? Patricia? Are you mute?
I think her connection is frozen.
Okay. That's all right. So basically what she's saying is that if the neighborhood is prepared, if everyone in your neighborhood is prepared, there is an order when it comes to evacuations and things like that, and everyone will feel that everyone who are prepared in your neighborhood wouldn't get into panic. But also, if you are prepared and there's a neighbor that are not prepared, you can help them out when an emergency comes. So that's the end of that presentation. I have a data collection survey that I need to collect. If you can take a picture or copy the form link at this side over here. So this data collection is anonymous. The government is freely giving us the resources that we are using today, and they want the data to measure if we are meeting our target populations in every event that we do. So please do us a favor to scan this. I'm also probably going to add the link in the chat afterwards, or if Melissa or Claire can do so for me. I haven't shared them the thing, but yes, please take a picture of this slide right now. Gonna give that to them. Okay. So now these are our contact information. So you can contact us. You can take a picture of this slide as well and contact us. For me, it's going to be Eddlynn Mangaoang at elsolnec.org. And for Patricia, it's Patricia Gonzalez at elsolnec.org. Now, are there any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to put that in the Q&A chat box. And we're going to be answering that while you are completing this survey here for the drawing and also for the yeah, this survey is for a prize. So we're gonna be giving out 2 prizes. The Student Health Center and the Counseling and Psychological Services are gonna give out a prize, and then for us from Install, I'm also going to give out a go bag. So please do this survey as well. And I think that's the end of our presentation. Now is the Q&A.
Questions. Questions somebody had in regards to the alerts. They wanted to know if the alerts are sent out in multiple languages.
So alerts. So I'm not sure for the alerts right now. I can go back and see if it's going to be, but for informations, there's probably a Spanish version. There's probably a Spanish, but hopefully I think you will get in multiple languages. But I cannot promise. I will have to look it up and get back for that for the answer for that one. But if you want to follow Listos California, they have these for Listos California, they sent out messages, especially in English and Spanish, but in their website, you can find multiple resources that has different languages from Korean, Chinese, Chinese Mandarin, traditional Chinese, Vietnamese, all other languages. Like I think there's like 36 languages if you follow their Instagram or if you go to their website.
Yeah. Another question we have, if you are in extremes of climate, cold and hot, what can you do to remedy that situation?
Will you please repeat the question?
If you are in extremes of climate, such as cold or hot, what can you do to remedy that situation?
For the hot situation, like during summer or something like that, if we really don't want to, like if we wanted to stay cool, I recommend that you go to cooler places like parks that has a lot of trees, or maybe go to a mall and spend your day there if you have time, somewhere that uses AC that is not your home, just so that we can lower down the of course the reason for a power shutoff, because power shutoff only happens if the power company see that there's too many people using the power, like the electricity. But if you and most of the people in that area will go and spend their time, their weekends, for example, in a mall, they're cooling off and they're not really using much electricity. There's no reason for power shutoff. As for the too cold area, I never really experienced it, but maybe go somewhere that isn't really like too cold. But if you are stuck on the mountains or something like that, maybe be prepared. Be prepared for whatever you need that will make you comfortable. Like if you need extra blankets, if you are using fireplaces to heat up your space, do so. And or if you can get out of there, go to somewhere else that isn't as cold. Are
Hi,
there any other questions?
I'll go ahead and take over the Q&A right now. I don't know if somebody already answered this, but is that app free for the alerts?
Yes, the calalerts.org, you go online and sign up. It will ask you which county you are living in, and just choose and sign up for that particular county, and you will get email or text messages for free. As for the MyShake app, the MyShake app is free. You can just download it and you'll get earthquake alerts, like real-time earthquake alerts for free. The MyShake app is created by the UC Berkeley, so they have it for free. I have it on my phone as well. I downloaded the app and I got the alert, the notification about the Turkey Syrian earthquake right even before I watch it on the news. So I know it even before I watch it in the news. So it's a really great tool. It isn't only covering the United States, but it also covers earthquakes from around the world, especially the most notable ones, the ones that causes like 6.0 or higher magnitude of earthquakes.
Great, thank you. So can you expand on the skills of stop thought?
Which one?
It says, can you expand on the skills of stop thought? Not exactly sure what they mean by this, but
Yes, I am also unsure.
all right, maybe if you can rephrase your question, we'd love to see it in the Q&A. Let's see, you have, would psychological preparedness refer to a disability also?
So psychological preparedness, Patricia went over like self-care and things like that. Even if you have a psychological problems, as long as someone with you is prepared psychologically, who can help you, like your caregivers, if your caregivers have the training to be psychologically prepared while helping you out, it also helps. And as we mentioned before, if you have a psychological problem, or if you are having like anxieties or depressions, seek out help as much as you can, as much as needed, because this sometimes it will not go away, but at least you're helping yourself in getting those things prepared for you, or basically like lowering down anything. But if you're talking about people with mental disabilities, the disaster ready guide, I am giving it out at the campus most of the time. If you see me and just wanted to go and grab some, it has information on how to help those who are with the with needs. So it's not only about people who have mental disabilities or physical disabilities, it's also for people who needs help with other things. Like if it's a pregnant woman, or if they have children or things like that, it has a tons of information on how to be prepared mentally, physically, and everything, basically prepared for all those things that will happen.
All right, so we have, what about my pets in an emergency?
So when you're preparing a go bag or a stay box, prepare a go bag separately for your pet, like food, their identification cards, any insurance that you have for them. Make a go bag for your pets as well. And then for stay box, the same. If it's something that your pet uses every day, make sure to have at least like a one bag more than you have now, or something like that. But basically prepare, if you're like preparing for yourself, make sure that you do so for your pets, your family members, anyone. And all of these preparations are going to be, as Patricia mentioned, different from every single person or animals that are living with you. We have what we call the go bag. That's the one you just pack and go. But there are also things that you grab or pack as you leave. So as Patricia mentioned, sometimes you have 15 minutes to pack or 5 minutes to pack, but those minutes can also, like, if you have them ready like near the door or something like that, that's the best thing. If you have pets, excuse me. So if you have pets, make sure that they're ready. Make sure that you grab them before leaving, because, for example, if there's a wildfire, you don't want to leave your pets there. So things like that. Make sure to get ready for every single person or animals in your household.
All righty, thank you so much. We have to wrap up right here, but
Mhm.
Counseling and Psychological Services thanks you for coming out today. We really appreciate our presenters and everything you educated us on.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you're interested in the recording, it'll be up on our CAPS website within a couple weeks of this presentation. And do you have any contact information or any way they can reach out to you for
Oh yes,
questions?
let's go back to a couple of slides. So this
There
is
we go.
our contact information. Yes, please take a picture of this one. You can contact me, Eddlynn Mangaoang at elsolnec.org, or Patricia. Take a picture right now. And also, please don't forget to do the what you call this data collection over here. Take a picture now, please, and fill it out. It's anonymous.